Do you have the right staff mix? Do you have staff who are knowledgeable, capable and caring? Can you meet Standard 7, human resources? Well, let's find out. Hi, I'm Carrie from Culturally Directed Care Solutions, where we give you the knowledge and tools to help you provide quality care with confidence. If you're new here, consider subscribing so that you can keep up to date with the latest in aged care reforms and practices. I get quality care and services when I need them from people who are knowledgeable, capable and caring. Standard 7 supports all of the other aged care quality standards, and it's one of the most important parts of providing quality care. Now, it's obvious you need to have the right people who have capacity, capability and are caring to provide quality care. Staffing is one of the key issues that's been raised again and again at the Aged Care Royal Commission. The quality of your service depends heavily on the quality of your staff. You need a workforce that can provide the care and support that people need, but do it in a way that doesn't take away the person's independence. The client should be able to lean on the workers who support them. Now, leaning implies that the person gets support when and how and where they need it. It doesn't mean that staff do the things that people can still do, and it's really important to get that balance right. As support workers, we should never take over, even where that's the faster option. And while we want staff to be effective and efficient in their work, we need to recognise that we're working with people who have feelings and emotions. Being efficient is something that management like to see. Being effective is more reflective of the client. Are we meeting their needs in their preferred way? Now, the new standard requires organisations to have systems in place to manage staff numbers and ensure that they have staff with the right skill sets on duty. This, of course, is very relevant in a residential setting, but it also applies in home care too. After all, if staff don't turn up and there's not enough of them, or that skill mix isn't there, then that limits some of the things you can do for clients. We also need to make sure that we allocate enough time for staff to complete tasks in an unhurried way. We want to minimise falls, skin tears and harm to clients. And to do that, we need to roster staff, give them sufficient time to make sure that things happen in a timely manner. So our rostering systems need to be effective. Now, an effective rostering system isn't one that necessarily micromanages down to the last second. We live in a world where we have to be flexible, and sometimes the best option for an effective roster system is to build in contingency. Of course, that's what happens when you call your telecommunications business or plumber. Rather than giving you a set time, they usually just provide a time frame. Now, some aged care services, particularly those operating home-based care in rural areas where staff have a long distance to travel between clients, they have to have something like a more flexible scheduling arrangement. And while it may not be as convenient, it can be a lot more effective and supports continuity of care. Another thing I learned from my time managing a large regional aged care service was that clients hate change, a change of staff that is. Now, the organisation that I was managing had this system where they rotated staff every 6 months. And not only was this a logistical nightmare having to rework the roster, we also had to let clients know about the change and then manage all the complaints that ensued from that. While the intent was to ensure that clients didn't become too reliant on one person and to minimise that scope creep, where people do a bit more than they should, it didn't make clients or support workers happy. We only did this once during my time there because I learned it was far better to provide professional supervision and make sure staff kept me updated on the client's needs or requests for more services or any changes. I also discovered that it was much better to talk about planned staff absences with clients beforehand and work out how they wanted to manage this. Now, I know in some service contexts, staff turnover can be quite high and it's just not possible to assign the same staff member. In that situation, have a pool of staff that are used to support clients, especially when it comes to personal care or social support. Whatever you do, your client should always feel safe and comfortable with the staff members you're assigning to care for them. Matching clients and staff is also something that I've learnt to do over the years, and it's really important to make sure that clients with special needs like dementia are supported by staff with the right skill sets and experience. And matching can go further than specific skill sets. Some clients prefer a really chatty and upbeat person to provide their support, while others prefer someone with a really calm demeanour who just gets in and gets the job done. Of course, there are always limitations on what we as service providers can do. Sometimes we struggle to meet individual requests, and that might be because we're meeting other requirements, such as ensuring that our staff have required breaks and that their mental health and well-being is being supported. And of course, ensuring that if they're ill, we give them time off because we don't want them passing illness on to clients. In these cases, we may need to substitute the client's preferred support worker for someone else. You'll also need to educate the staff member on client preferences and requirements. One of my bugbears is when staff are sent out to support a client but are not provided with sufficient relevant information about the person. So make sure you provide key information to your staff about that client. Their important relationships, their relevant health issues, any aids and equipment they use, or their stated preferences. It's an important part of preparing a staff member to provide a quality service. I guess that brings us to the staff members themselves. I mean, are you employing the right people? Employing the wrong person can be worse than employing no one. When you start the recruitment process, are you checking your position descriptions first? Do your position descriptions adequately describe the role that you're expecting staff to perform? The position description should also reflect any essential qualifications you expect the staff member to hold, along with any desired ones that you consider helpful. Of course, you also need to ensure that the staff you employ are suitable in other ways. I mean, the requirement to meet a current criminal history check should be in all position descriptions for any staff member who's likely to come in contact with clients. They should be obtained and reviewed prior to the person starting, and don't forget that they have to be rechecked at least every 3 years. What about reference checks? Please follow up on these. Do not rely solely on the response to the selection criteria. And if you discover that the referee is someone's brother or cousin, you might want to reconsider appointing them. And always make sure you consider your gut feelings when employing someone, because often the gut's right. You can train skills, but you cannot train the essence or the heart of someone. Are your staff culturally competent? While this might mean the person has relevant language skills, it also includes understanding and acknowledging the historical background of the client and the experiences that have shaped them. When a new staff member starts, are you providing an adequate induction? You know the old saying, a penny in time saves 9. Well, time and money spent on providing a good solid induction for a new staff member can really pay for itself. You're less likely to experience complaints from the clients or their family when your staff know the expectations of the client they are supporting. You'll also have a happier, more confident staff member if they know their boundaries and understand how to complete your internal processes. Ongoing staff training is also a critical part of ensuring your workforce have the right skill sets and competencies. A staff handbook is a great tool, and you can reference organisational policy and procedure and cover issues like privacy, confidentiality, client safety, missing clients. You know, it can also cover information on personal and work standards, workplace health and safety expectations. And on that topic, manage risk. Are you addressing safety topics regularly through things like toolbox talks? Now, sometimes you've got to prune. A square peg does not fit in a round hole, and sometimes while people might look good on paper and they present well at an interview, well, sometimes things just fall apart. The probation period is your opportunity to evaluate how well a person fits in your organisation. If you've got any concerns or worries, address them earlier on. If the person can't or won't follow any of your procedures, move them on. After all, that's what a probation period is all about, and you're probably doing everyone a favour. Once we employ the right people, do we encourage them or keep training and maintaining their skills? Do we establish what behaviours and standards are expected when supporting clients? Do we support regular staff appraisals and provide timely feedback? Do we provide staff with a support network and resources to encourage quality outcomes? And do we assist our staff to understand the health conditions and issues that people that they care for may be experiencing? Do we give them opportunities to be part of problem-solving processes rather than simply passive recipients of solutions? Get your human services right and you're going to have a solid base that supports great care for your clients. Our next video is the final one in this series, and it's the platform that underpins the whole organisation, which is governance. If you want more information on the standards and other resources, we'll have a link in the description below in the CDCS Community Hub.